I want to introduce you to something I've been using to lower my anxiety, and put very simply, it's the idea of not letting the main anxiety-provoking event become the main event. And really, this is just a counter to anticipatory anxiety. When we are stressed or anxious about something, we can spend a ridiculous amount of time imagining all the worst case scenarios. For example, what if I freeze up and can't think of anything to say? What if they think I'm weird or boring? What if an isolated thunderstorm sweeps me up and chucks me on a desert island where I need to survive on Bombay Bad Boy pot noodles for a year? Just the standard thoughts that everyone has. And this anticipation builds up this anxiety until it's just overwhelming. And then by the time the actual event comes up, you're just drained because you've spent all this time beforehand thinking about it. And that brings us to not making the main thing the main thing. So instead of letting that one event consume all your thoughts, try shifting your focus. Think of other things you can do before and after the event. For example, if you're nervous about meeting new people at a party, you could plan to do a quick workout beforehand to burn off some of that nervous energy. And then you could plan to watch the next episode of your favourite show after you get home. That way, the social event becomes just one part of your day, and it's sort of squeezed in between two things that you enjoy or can look forward to. While distraction can sometimes be seen as a way to avoid anxiety or any unwanted emotion, when used intentionally, it can be a great way of breaking down that cycle of overthinking. So here are a few distraction examples for diluting your anxiety. One way to shift your focus is to listen to your favourite music. You could go for a short walk, just getting outside, taking a break from your phone for 5-10 minutes is another great way of distracting yourself. You could text a friend or family member. This is a great way of shifting your focus outward and you'll be less me focused. And the obvious one is to do one of your hobbies. So 10 minutes of drawing, reading, playing an instrument poorly, anything like that works. And distractions are great, they can definitely help, but awareness plays a big part in anticipatory anxiety. And if we can learn to start catching those times where we're over preparing in our head, things will be a lot easier, right? Let's say you have social anxiety. It's very likely that before an event, you will overthink and over prepare, which feels like the best thing to do, but in reality, that's just feeding the anxiety. So something that helped me was focusing on the bare essentials, like doing the bare essential prep before an event and then letting go until it was time to act. And this will lower the chances that your mind will go through all the catastrophic thinking. The thing with social anxiety and most anxieties is the fear of the fear is usually worse than the fear itself. 99% of the time, the fear about the specific interaction is worse than the interaction itself. And when you think about it, how many times have you built up an event in your head only to realise that it wasn't as bad as you thought it would be, right? Your brain, my brain, is pretty good at blowing things out of proportion and making you think the worst will happen when it usually doesn't. To put all of this together, the next time you're feeling some anticipatory anxiety, write down these questions and answer them. So write down the event that's causing the anxiety. Next, write down 1 or 2 things maximum that you absolutely need to do beforehand. So this could be, if it's a party, having a shower and selecting what clothes you're wearing. There's nothing else really needed in that situation. Next, and this is optional, list activities that you do to shift your focus. So beforehand, you could cook and eat a meal, and afterwards you could plan to have a call with a friend. And finally, reflect, ask yourself, how did my anticipatory worries compare to the actual experience? And by going through those questions, you're training yourself to not let the anxiety inducing event dominate your mind. And yeah, it's important to remember that the worry about the event is often more intense than the actual event itself. So next time that your mind starts creating these disaster scenarios in the anticipation of an event, try to catch yourself and just say, like, I'll deal with that when I get to it, but right now I'm going to focus on insert whatever distraction method you prefer.